Welcome back everyone. Apologies for the long wait, but I hope that this first video in a new lore series satisfies your desire for new content. There will be more Deathloop content coming soon, but I truly appreciate everyone's patience. In the meantime, let's take a trip through the history of the world of Deathloop and learn more about Blackreef Island and the mysterious Operation Horizon. In the 1800s, Blackreef Island was nothing more than a small fishing town surrounded by black coral reefs that gave the beaches and the island itself its namesake. However, the island experienced a catastrophic temporal event at an unknown time that radically altered the island's future forever. The citizens of the small fishing town abandoned the island, and all major animal and plant life seemingly ceased to exist overnight. The island would remain abandoned for some time before the army of the motherland learned of the temporal anomaly and became obsessed with unlocking its potential for both scientific and militaristic purposes. Since Deathloop takes place in such an isolated setting, little is known of the army of the motherland and their home country or continent of origin, but they certainly held at least some level of influence on the island's population, as faded propaganda can be found plastered over many of the now ramshackle domiciles dotting the island. The Army of the Motherland forms Operation Horizon, a scientific expedition with the sole purpose of researching Blackreef's temporal anomaly and envisioning ways that it might be harnessed against other enemy nations. There were several key figures who were part of Operation Horizon, and it's important for the purposes of this lore video to understand who these people were and what roles they played in Operation Horizon's activities on Blackreef Island. First up is General Chen Novak, a military officer who helped to secure the necessary government funding for Operation Horizon. Serving underneath him was Field Marshal Jurgen Berezin, the expeditionary head of Operation Horizon and the overseer of all military and scientific activity on the island. Major Victor Raznik was the chief security officer for Operation Horizon, who ensured that all rules and regulations were followed to the letter, and he was also responsible for dispersing orders directly from Field Marshal Berezin to all other Operation Horizon staff. Katrina Piszczek, head science officer for Operation Horizon and head researcher for the Science and Research Department. Everything involving the research and study of the anomaly fell under her supervision. Lieutenant Natalie Sobel was the second science officer and assistant to head science officer Piszczek. She took over for Piszczek after the anomaly incident and the failure of the related experiment. Lieutenant Tobias John was a head intelligence operative for Operation Horizon, and he was disliked by many of Operation Horizon's key staff members, including Berezin and Raznik, due to the secretive nature of his work. Important to note, many of these names will be referenced in future lore videos that I am developing, so you can always refer back to this video if you require a refresher. Once Operation Horizon touched down on Blackreef Island sometime in the 1930s, many decades after the temporal anomaly first appeared and the island was abandoned by its native population, Field Marshal Berezin authorized the deployment and construction of several military facilities scattered throughout the island. Many of them are integral to both the history and topography of the island. The most notable facility constructed by Operation Horizon was the massive complex at the center of Blackreef, housing the massive anomaly tower that can be seen from almost anywhere on the island. Several smaller outposts were built in the various districts of the island that were once inhabited by the former citizens of the town. Facilities were constructed in Updam, the complex, Fristad Rock, and Carl's Bay, and each outpost served served a different purpose. Tidavarv Station, located in the heart of the complex, was the outpost that housed the Science and Research Division of Operation Horizon, and was staffed by the many scientific minds of the expedition, including the previously mentioned Katrina Piszczek and Natalie Sobel. Yasin Station, located in Updom, housed the Central Information Center, where any and all things related to Operation Horizon passed through. Jurgen Berazin's office is located on the top floor. Sova Station, located in Fristad Rock, housed the classified intelligence that was available only to the Motherland operatives that staffed the station, most notably Lieutenant Tobias John. Finally, Akar Station, located in Carl's Bay, housed the major communications and radio systems, allowing the staff to send messages to and from the mainland. During the many years that Operation Horizon was present on the island, they spent extensive time and resources researching the temporal anomaly. However, what they ultimately hoped to discover or accomplish with their research on the anomaly still remains a mystery, even after digging through whatever information was left over in the form of audio logs and documents. Ultimately, what we do know is that sometime during the year 1938, Operation Horizon commenced their final experiment. The Science Division discovered that the anomaly was reaching peak energy levels ahead of the scheduled date for their experiment. The experiment itself would involve the construction and subsequent flight of a prototype aircraft codenamed the RAC, short for
Raketoplan. Right! I knew that!
The plan was to fly the RAC into the heart of the temporal anomaly and to discover either what was on the other side or what effect a foreign object might have on the anomaly itself. The RAC would not fly all on its own, however. It needed a test pilot, and luckily, one person was all too eager to volunteer given his time and experience with Operation Horizon and his prior military history serving in the MAF, or Motherland Air Force. The test flight was eventually conducted, but naturally it did not go according to plan. In what became later known as the anomaly incident, the test pilot disappeared once the RAC took flight, along with all of Operation Horizon's experimental assets, and thus began the subsequent downfall of the project as a whole. The experiment was deemed a failure by both Operation Horizon Command and Motherland High Command, and the expedition ultimately pulled out of Blackreef Island, leaving nothing but dusty remains of their former presence on the island. Years went by, and then years turned into at least 3 decades before the Aeon program discovered Blackreef Island and the temporal anomaly sometime in the 1960s. Using the technology and equipment that Operation Horizon left behind, along with some new tech of their own, the leaders of the Aeon program, known as the Visionaries, were able to create a stable and constant time loop on the island in order to preserve life and allow themselves to live and party forever. Many questions still remain, though, about Operation Horizon's presence on Blackreef and what they did or did not accomplish, but the most important question of all is, what happened to that test pilot who disappeared during the failed anomaly experiment? For the next video in this lore series, I'll be answering that very question, so stay tuned. So this is the first video in my Deathloop lore series, but now I want to know what you think. Did you learn anything about the story of the game? Does this video leave you with more questions or more answers? Does this video make you more interested in learning about the world of Deathloop? Let me know in the comments down below. Consider subscribing to the channel for more Deathloop content like this, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. And remember that the outsider walks among us. Thanks for watching.